Welcome back, YouTube peeps. So we have a new video about Gilly's new home. I have a new home in Texas. Got married in October, and you'll see a lot of the hubby helping out. This is Gilly's temporary home inside our fifth wheel, just not very big for two people plus a dog. And this is his new freshness home. He likes it, and he's still happy to see me. We bring him in with any extreme weather. This is the box that came in from Amazon, hutch, I think. Box was not in the best of conditions. I think people just throw stuff out there. And then we threw everything out, all the pieces out. I recommend that so you can see where all the numbers are clearly labeled on it. You see that little circle by my hubby's hand. And you just follow those directions very carefully. We had to undo and redo a few things, as you'll see. But if they say use the A screws for piece 3, 6, and 4, then you use that bag of A screws. Put them in a place where they won't roll away so you can find them, because they are type specific. So as you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, there aren't a lot of pictures in the instructions, but it makes sense. It's very well made. It's pre-drilled holes for everything. You see that very clearly labeled pieces. So you just put the pieces of the puzzle together. If you like a puzzle, you're gonna love this. We built it on top of these huge wooden planks that we had. We thought that'd be good to give the house a little bit more structure. We have some little dogs nearby, and we didn't want them to be scaring Gilly. I don't think he was too scared. They're almost as big as him. But it came together pretty easily. I think altogether it took us about 3 hours. But we did make a mistake there at the beginning. And you see, pieces are together, but there's still a gap missing at the bottom, and I'll show you that a little bit more later. Following the screws, but then there's not very clear picture diagrams as to what pieces are together. We got this a little off. This gap up here is actually supposed to be at the bottom so that we can add his tray down here. You see? It can be removed. So, correcting that now. Doot, 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 doot. Here we go, with the gap in the right place. I love all the little details, latches on the front where you can reach in and pet them. Did we get this right? You can remove that tray and put it back in. That's where you put the hay. Yeah. First clean it out every few days. It gets full of pellets, and it does, because it eats a lot. But it slides in very easily. Follow the instructions once again. Great smelling cedar wood. And just, I'm pretty impressed with the quality of the build in general. The design makes sense, and it really works for us. So it's a continuation on the inside. You see he has this little trough that we put in there, and we're getting close to the end, because the trough, once that's screwed in, then you're going to work on the other half, which we'll show you. Alright, putting in Gilly's little ramp.
Drawing proposal. This hutch turn this family apart.
Here we go. Here goes one of Gilly's neighbors hanging out in the sun. Yeah, this makes sense.
Boom.
So now this little ramp is assembled. It's time for the second part. Like I said, the extra running around area he has. The panels were labeled pretty clearly, but there was still like a little confusion as to where the latches went on the side. It's there. You assemble the box part first, but you have to do it in a way so that the entire roof sits on the front. And this wasn't quite right, because we had a big gap in the front, so we had to flip it over again. And we got it eventually. That's the way it is. If it makes sense, the gap has to be up top, because that's where there's a latching lid that you lift up every day to feed him. So once, I recommend you have 2 people, one person holding in place, the other person goes slowly with the drill and the screws to make sure you hit those lined up holes and everything fits the way it should. the latch mechanism really is smart so that you can open it up and clean it as needed. And that's something that really helps us out when we're cleaning out his hutch, which is pretty regular. Like I said, my baby eats and he makes a mess. And you see we have him underneath the tongue of the fifth wheel, so he has a little bit of coverage in the summer and the winter, and we put lots of blankets around there. And of course, if the temperature gets anywhere below 40, we're bringing him in or putting him in the other pop-up. Here's the installation of his little door, so he can have his separate section. That really is where he hangs out the most, in this upper part, with all of his hay and his little trough there at all times. And yeah, it really has worked out for him. You'll see him skinning and grinning later on, but definitely bring him in. And I've created a playpen for him to run around in, have a little extra space every now and then, but supervised, because we have hawks and owls and dogs and cats. And that's the thing with rabbits, they're just on everybody's favorite predator list. So after we got assembled, basically the last step is to bring in the Gilly after putting on the latches. That's coming up. So you see how that gap is in the back so the lid can latch on. You'll see in the next pictures. I promise you guys the pictures were not that clear. It's kind of like IKEA furniture clear. Like you're looking at the picture like it could mean that, but it could mean that. But then when you see how it fits together, once again, jigsaw puzzle, then you're like, oh, that's how that goes. So this way, it can still be pulled up and down, and the permanent roof, which gives him a lot more insulation and protection from the sun, that you'll see that doesn't get lifted up and down. This gets lifted up and down so you can access them, pet them, feed them, hold them. But this other part, it has a more permanent roof, as I'll show you in an upcoming video. All right, so make sure you put it down here, babe. Notice that these holes are not visible from the other side. So I'm just using the drill to be able to see where they land on the other side. Just a little bit. Because they're there. They did really good about prefabbing the holes, but they didn't really make them clear. I think they tarred this after the holes were prefabbed. So that happened. So we couldn't find the holes. All right, come cut. The roof is going on, yay! So, it's Gilly's new hangout. It is quite fancy, I must say. Got all sorts of little bells and whistles here. Go in this little door. He's even got a little door to the second section of his house. Right here. And then he goes downstairs. He'll have even some grass to chew on down there. Pretty good stuff. And it smells so good. It smells like cedar. He's probably gonna be eating his house, actually. And there's where his little hay goes. I love it. I think it's stinking adorable. So this is what I was talking about, the added security. These planks are heavy, so no average animal's gonna be able to flip it over and get to my Gilly, which is a real fear. And so this way, the house is more stable, it's harder to lift, and he's a lot safer in general. We also put another screw and hook on the front latch that we pick up to feed him every day to make sure that nothing with opposable thumbs can get in there. And this is my husband, all too happy to get him out of the fifth wheel and put Gilly in his new home. So let's see how he likes it, huh?
So strange, isn't it? It's so strange. It's like, what's going on?